Welcome back, folks, to the Mailrite Show. This is episode 186. I've got my great co-host, Robert Newman, with me. And what we're going to be discussing in this episode is guerrilla marketing. Guerrilla marketing techniques that you could do for around $50. So not too expensive. And my co-host is a little bit ill, but he still decided to join me on the show. So he gets full marks for that. Robert, would you like to introduce yourself quickly to the new listeners and viewers?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for all those people that have been tuning in. Our numbers keep going up, and John and I are really gratified by that. You can learn more about me if you'd like to on my website, inboundrem.com. I do really deep dive into technology reviews. I only publish about 4 articles per year, so it's not. But I do have about 70 videos that I've done over the last 2.5 years, and you can probably find a lot of good stuff there if you're trying to review things to make your real estate marketing go a little bit better for your business.
Certainly will do. It's a feast of knowledge, folks. So go over to his website and learn some more. And I've got all the videos of the podcasts. We video our interviews as well, folks, and we have some episodes. I could hardly talk there. Some episodes we have bonus content which you can only see through the video, but that varies depending on how ill we are or we just run out of things to say, basically. So, Robert, guerrilla marketing for around $50 to $100. How are we going to start the conversation, Robert?
Well, we're going to start with ideas. So first of all, I want for our listeners to understand that when I say guerrilla marketing, almost everything I ever focus on is going to be digital. By digital, I mean something you can do online. This particular podcast, I really have a definitive focus for it. I feel like the information that I'm about ready to give you is going to be best for new realtors or marketing assistants or people that are in the office who might want to try to do something to in their spare time, or trying to make a good impression on their boss, or they're trying to come up with an idea because their boss has assigned them the task to do marketing. And they don't really know necessarily.
Go forth and do marketing.
Right. Well, believe me, I've gotten my fair share of calls from assistants who have gotten exactly that directive from their boss. So, and there's also a fair number of college students and such that are kind of tasked with doing digital marketing, who are not marketers, but since they're young, their real estate bosses oftentimes just say, "Hey, you know this stuff, go do it." So here's some ideas. We're going to start off with Instagram and Facebook, which are really basically the same thing. But 2 of my favorite ways to do sphere marketing using Instagram and Facebook, and you can utilize both these ideas usually and get pretty good reach for about $50 or less. It really does depend on how many Facebook likes you have, but Facebook allows you to market to friends of friends. So if your Facebook page has, let's just say, 100 likes, and let's say you're pretty sure that the 100 likes are all either your likes or the realtor likes, well, that sphere of influence is actually more like 3,000 to 5,000 people. It adds up very, very fast because the average Facebook user has about 150 friends. I have 1,000. And you can market to all of those people. So what would you market to those people, assuming that you could? Well, one of the things that I like to do a lot is recent listings. Okay, so if this tactic is almost always is best when you have a listing. Even better if you have what's called a pocket listing. For those of you that might not know what that is a listing that you haven't necessarily put out on the MLS or everywhere else as of yet. It's something that only you have. So you might do an initial blast where you say, this is an exclusive listing. Nobody's got it yet. It's going out to my friends and the friends of my friends. And then you click that button on Facebook, and the cost to do this kind of marketing is usually something like 10 cents per click. So you're looking at an extraordinarily cheap way to get out a property in front of a whole bunch of people that may not have seen it. Now, the funny thing is that this tactic also works almost in an exact same way on Instagram. because Instagram allows you to put a listing and then you can also promote it to your followers. Now, I don't think, and I'm not sure about this, but I don't think that Instagram yet has the followers of your followers kind of tactic, but I may be wrong about, but regardless, this same listing will automatically propagate to your Facebook feed. So actually, you can get a double bang for your buck by promoting the listing on 2 separate platforms and only doing the data entry once. So that is a really good, really inexpensive way. Now, why? There's a couple of other reasons why you might want to do this. It's actually a better tactic than just selling the listing. You can also say, hey, if you would like to see more exclusive homes from me, but you're not in the market right now, do me a favor and like my Facebook page. Why would you do that? Because it expands your Facebook reach. And like I said, it's 10 cents a click. So think of it this way. You're adding a name to your list for 10 cents, which is a great way to get in front of a brand new audience and to grow your sphere of influence using Facebook and Instagram for an incredibly low amount of money. So that's how I would leverage Facebook and Instagram. Now, let's say for sake of argument that that you don't have a listing. All right. So what else might you do? All right. So the next tactic that you might do is actually pick something in a target neighborhood that you like, and retool the language just a little bit, and basically say, this is a beautiful listing that I really like, as opposed to this is an exclusive listing, because it's not your listing, but hey, guess what? You're a realtor. You can pick anything you want off the MLS. The listing agent has already listed the property. So, well, what you do is you take the property and you'd do the same tactic, and just explain though what you really like about the property. Make sure that you understand what it is that you're listing, like what you're throwing up. Maybe even go drive by it and take a deep walk, like a walking tour around the property. And then what you want to do is you want to really point out some things that you legitimately like about the property, first on Instagram, then on Facebook, and basically make yourself an expert for this particular listing and advertise it like it's your home. Like, hey, I love this house. The backyard is beautiful, so on and so forth. And again, the tactic is going to be doing the same thing. It's just going to be to grow your sphere of influence, number one. And two, if you get very, very lucky, you're going to get somebody to respond to your ad. Now, here's a couple pointers. Always have a call to action. You do not need a website for this tactic. Like I said, this is real guerrilla marketing stuff. Put your phone number on Facebook. Make sure that you have an email address. Make sure you have a clear call to action. And that could be 2 things. That could be, I'm willing to show the property next Saturday, or call me on this number. So that's one guerrilla marketing tactic. Now, I almost always stick with kind of like digital marketing strategies, but I've been doing business with realtors for 12 years, and somebody that I know does this with a really enormous degree of success. So when they do get a listing and they do advertising in a neighborhood and they do a Facebook post, what they also do, which I think is kind of clever, is they basically go do a bake-off. And what they do is they bring in some baked goods, they set up a Saturday, they run out, they take a card and they hand it off to all the neighbors. Okay, and they go a couple blocks and they leave the card and basically say, hey, on Saturday, next Saturday, I just want you to know I'm going to have some baked goods that I've handmade at such and such a house and such an address. Why do they do that? Because this particular realtor, who is, I have to admit, a realtor in back east, but they get most of their business from referrals from people in the neighborhood. In other words, people that already live there may know somebody that they want to move into the neighborhood. So we know that somebody who lives down the street is not going to buy the home, not most likely. But what we don't know is that maybe they've got an aunt, uncle, brother, sister, mother, cat, dog with money, who knows, but they've got somebody that they want to live near them, and they will call that person up and say, hey, there's this baked goods or breakfast or whatever happening at this house. Maybe you should spin by and check it out. They say that most of the highly qualified leads that they get are done using this tactic, and it's just either them or their assistant walking the neighborhood, dropping these cards. And again, this is under $50. It's just, you can go to Kinko's, and for $20 you make the flyers. The problem is, of course, that you have to have the listing, but still, it's a relatively, you can actually take your listing off the MLS and do the same strategy if you want. I personally don't think it's quite as powerful as it being your listing.
Well, I think you can also, you could also, more established agents love you if you volunteer to do open house for them.
Right.
And you can do the same technique with there. And I think another thing that, I'm sure in saying this, but I'm sure you correct me if I'm wrong. Am I correct? Is when a house gets sold, normally between 3 and 4 other houses in a certain distance get sold in less than a year. It normally generates other houses to come on the market in that area. So that's another reason why getting them, what you've just said, or getting them to open house for the new agent that hasn't got a lot of listings. This is why doing open houses is a good idea. Is that for the reason I've just stated, and I think a lot of them don't realise that, do they, Robert?
I don't. I would agree with you. I think the natural inclination for people when they like buying and selling homes, because you're exactly right, is to say, look what my neighbor's house went for. I had no idea that my house could go for that much. Like right now, I think like 5-10 years ago when I leased the place I'm at now, it was going for $550. Currently, houses in this neighborhood are going for $665 over the span of just a handful of years. I'm kind of glad that my owner is absolutely determined to give this house to his kids, because if he wasn't, I think he'd look at it and go, holy cow, I bought that thing for $55,000, 30 years ago. So why not sell it for $600,000 profit? A couple of other things to talk about. I'm going to switch gears in everybody here. So I'm going to talk about Active Rain for a second. Active Rain is a real estate only blogging platform. You can get a free profile that will allow you to blog, and your blog will be read by other people that are on the platform. In other words, only people that are on Active Rain or people that you send to the blog. So why would you blog there? Why would I even bring it up? Well, because you can create a blog, and you can do that all for free. And then you can basically say, seeking networking partners. That's the title of the blog post. And you put all of the information about your area, and you basically agree to do a swap. Okay, this is very popular in Active Rain. If you actually stayed on the platform and built up a blog and built up a reputation, you'd be surprised, I think, in under 6 months, and blogging about twice a month, you could probably build up a fairly active referral network where people are willing to send some referrals your way from people that might be moving out of their area and into yours. It's another kind of super guerrilla marketing. Like, you will have to spend some time doing this strategy, but I know Active Rain bloggers who have referral networks that they've been milking for 10 years. And most of the time, it's not a strategy that's so powerful that it's going to change your business. But I do know quite a few people that get like an extra 3-4 transactions a year consistently off Active Rain. As a matter of fact, I think Thomas, your previous host on the show, because I met him on Active Rain, and he was telling me that he's gotten a few transactions off of Active Rain. At least I think he did. I think he said he got a few referrals off Active Rain. I may be wrong.
I think it's also dependent on what area you're in. I'm amazed that the area that I live, you got Truckee, you got Lake Tahoe. They're two kind of high-class areas where a lot of people from outside the area buy property. So I'm aghast at the amount of agents in this area that haven't done that at all. So if you're in this kind of area where you get a lot of people from the Bay Area looking to buy in Truckee or Lake Tahoe, You think they would do that, wouldn't you? But they don't. It's quite amazing, really, Robert.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with that. I couldn't agree with that more. Now
So,
I'm gonna.
so I say, just to finish off on that, it's dependent on how many referrals you get, the kind of area you live in. See, in Carson City is not somewhere where a lot of outside. Well, I better not say that. That's not correct. We're getting increasingly amount of people from California retiring to Carson City, but what it used to be is a lot of people worked for the state government in Carson City because it's
Okay.
the state capital, and then they used to retire here. So it didn't used to have a lot of outside people buying property. So in the last recession, it was a much more stable market that didn't show the declines in pricing and the amount of defaulting that Reno and some other areas saw.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also changing now. I'm noticing that we're getting more outside people buying property because Truckee, parts of Reno, Lake Tahoe are just getting so expensive that they're pricing themselves out. So people are looking at alternative areas in northern Nevada.
Let's do the break, and then I've got one last tip to do for the last few minutes of our show. One last guerrilla marketing tip.
That'd be great. We're going to go for our break. I'm sure I'll probably have some tips as well. So come back with us, and we got some more guerrilla marketing techniques for you listeners and viewers. We'll be back in a few moments.
Hopefully you can cut out my coughing.
We're coming back. Robert's done well. He's slowly dying, but he's managed to kind of not show the effects of his slow death to us listeners and viewers. So on to your next one. What's your next guerrilla technique, Robert?
Okay. This is one of my favorites. Unfortunately, it's only really good for people that have been focusing on social media. But it might give you the goalpost of understanding why you want to focus on social media. Live, okay? So Facebook Live, and John and I both talked about this repeatedly. So this is not a new tactic. It's really more us bringing up a favorite old tactic. It's one of the only ways that Facebook and Instagram are still allowing you to leverage your list, because a lot of people don't know this, but really for the most part, Facebook has shut down access to your Facebook marketing page without paying them. They don't allow you to simply, like it used to be in the old days, that you could come on to Facebook and if you posted something, everybody would get notified that was part of your followers, right? That's not the way it works anymore. I don't know that anybody gets notified when you put a post up. What you have to do is pay them, and then they'll send out a notification to everybody saying that you have a post on your Facebook page. But because live is still a very hotly contested feature that is YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook are the big three that are fighting in that arena, they're still giving you access to most of your audience during live. Now they're switching up how that works. I've noticed that I used to get notifications on my phone. I don't anymore, but I still get notifications when I'm actually online on Facebook that somebody's going live. I actually get a notification. So you're going to get in front of a certain percentage of your audience for free by doing Facebook Live or Instagram Live, and you don't have to pay the advertising fee. So what might you talk about using Facebook Live, YouTube? And YouTube works roughly the same way. So what would you talk about? I would have to say you could talk about anything that's interesting that's happened in the neighborhood, like a neighborhood update. What I would do if I was really interested in doing a live broadcast, I would probably pay more attention to my neighborhood. What's that one called?
Open house.
It's not Neighborhood Scout. It's a huge neighborhood. It's like neighborhood.com, I think it is.
Yep. I've gone blank. You caught me out.
Hold on. I'm actually just gonna neighborhood.com. NextDoor. Yeah,
Yeah,
NextDoor.
yeah. So my mind went blank.
Yep, it's absolutely it. So Nextdoor is a social media platform that is specifically for neighborhoods. Okay, it's nationwide, and you can go on there. You can see like all your neighbors talking about somebody stole my goddamn trash can again. Somebody broke into the car 5 houses down. Did you hear that John over on Westerly had a heart attack? So you pick and choose stuff that you think is interesting off neighborhood. You do a live broadcast, and you can do one of two things. You could do a market update, or you could combine neighborhood news with an update for everybody in terms of how you think this news might impact the housing market in a specific neighborhood, which would probably most of the time be not at all. But you could say, hey, this home got broken into, for those of you that are interested in real estate. That may impact your housing, your home prices. Or another interesting thing about Nextdoor is that local police adjuncts are connecting in with the platform, and what they're doing is they're saying, if any neighbors have information about this crime, report it here. So actually, here in California, there's a lot of police that are actually on this thing asking for news about local crime and stuff like that. So if it was me, I would do it like double utilize social media, and I'd use Nextdoor to get really good, kind of gooey, interesting details about neighborhoods. And then I do a live broadcast to all of my business related real estate connections and kind of say, this is going on in the neighborhood and this is how I think it would impact the real estate market.
Yeah, kind of on the same subject. There's a lady, I won't name who she is, and I've just been, she comes on my radar when I'm on Facebook, and she's in a totally different sector, but it's something I think our listeners and viewers could learn from, Robert, is that she sells clothing, this lady,
Okay.
but she sells from her home in Southern California. And she does, every Wednesday, she chooses a select 8 bits of clothing, and then she shows how you can mix and match the clothing, right?
Okay.
And how she's a kind of clothing consultant. So she aims the clothes that she sells at higher wealth ladies, at a certain price point, but she shows them how to mix and match the clothing that she's selling, and she does it every Wednesday, and then she does an occasional Friday, and she's been doing this for over a year. And I think she's got, I don't know for sure, but I think she's, by the sounds of it, she's got a reasonable business.
Okay.
I think you could do something similar in real estate. I think it's a good idea to do it at the same time every week. Do a quick 15-20 minute live video about the market, about certain properties that have come on the market, talk about how the market's going, but also show a lot of listings, and actually if you've got a listing that you're representing, be in it when you're doing the video as well, but be consistent about the time that you do it. What do you think about that?
I think that would be brilliant. I also just want to let everybody know that Nextdoor has updated its features a bit, and actually, I'm looking at there's a whole tab dedicated to real estate. One of the interesting things that I'm finding on here right now in this very second is that listings that may not be on other platforms are here, and there's like a good, like, healthy price range. Anyway, I think that it's an interesting. Anyway, I like your idea. I like this one too.
Well, I brought Nextdoor up a few months ago, and just had a brain fart when you brought it up. But basically, I'm also amazed the amount, because you can set up a neighbourhood group, and any guerrilla-focused real estate agent that doesn't set up, that there isn't a group for their local community, their target farm area, you should set it up on that platform, and because it ain't going to cost you any money, and it really enables you to become and I think they're okay if you put up a recent listing you've got in that area, but what you mustn't do is start really pushing your services, because you're gonna be barred from that platform, and secondly, it just won't go. It's just not appropriate marketing technique for that particular space. But on the other hand, nobody's covered that area. You should consider it, shouldn't you?
You should. And there's an event section on here. You actually did bring this up. And interestingly enough, it tags the area that you're in. So this is going to be mostly effective for your home area. But interestingly enough, you can add events for free. So if you're doing that neighborhood marketing tactic that I mentioned earlier, you could do an event like a bake sale or something creative or clever. Or hey, another way to collect leads is to help a current client do a moving sale. Why would you do that? Because when all the neighbors come there, you can introduce yourself to them. I want to emphasize that these are guerrilla tactics for realtors who are just getting started. I'm not talking about like you're an experienced realtor who doesn't probably have time to do these kinds of things. I just want to mention that this is something that I would do if I was trying to get my brand new career off the ground and I had more time than money or anything else. So if I managed to call all my friends and family and somebody says, okay, I'll give a listing to you, I personally would try to figure out like 9 or 10 different ways I could possibly leverage that listing into a list of other people that would be my sphere. John and I talk about this all the time, creating databases, creating email lists, things like that. So when you're focused on a neighborhood, if you get a single family member to list a home, that literally, if you do it right, should be the start of your entire career. You could figure like, so you help them move out. And when you're there and you're being friendly with a handful of business cards and maybe a sign-up sheet, you could figure out a way to give something away. I don't know, but definitely meet neighbors and say, hey, I've got this listing. I'm helping them move out. If you'd like this kind of exceptional service, maybe you're going to think of, if you're going to think of moving in the next year or two, maybe I can give you my card. Maybe you can give me your email address. And I promise I won't be too overly aggressive. That's what I would do. I just start up a conversation and say, do you want like white glove service like this? I have all the drive in the world and not enough people to serve. So you utilize that.
Yeah, there's three, just to finish off, there's three elements what you're trying to achieve here. Obviously, you're trying to get some listings. Obviously, no listings, no commission, no commission. You can't stay in the real estate business if it's a full-time occupation for you. But so you've got to get yourself out there. And people say to me, how can I get out there if I've got no listings? It's a chicken and egg situation. Well, that's not the case, because through open houses and also promoting other people's listings effectively through these guerrilla methods that we've just described, will result in you getting listings, because you're getting yourself out there. If you're the secret agent that's not out there, you will not get any listings, will you? I've set him off because he likes it when I say the secret.
I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry, John.
A lot of people are the secret agent. The other factor is to build up your database of emails, names, phone numbers, emails. Like I said in the previous show, it's the 101 of the Red Book, and it's really the 101 of real estate. And your brokers are going to constantly be on your back on that. And they're right in some way, but you should control that list. And using these techniques helps with that. And finally and thirdly, you're in the market to build up a personal brand. Obviously, you've got to get leads and you've got to sell leads or buy leads, but you're also there to build up your brand. So they're the main three things why you should be doing the things that Robert and myself have pointed out. I think it's been a good show, Robert. I think we'll call it day before you die. How can people find out more about you and what you're up to and your words of wisdom, Robert?
They can always come and check me out at inboundrem.com, and Everybody, thank you for your patience with me today. It was a struggle. John, thank you for your patience. I appreciate it.
No, it's no problem. I thought we covered some great stuff and you weren't too bad. And also I had what Robert has had. I had it about a month, about 3 weeks ago, and it's terrible. I felt ill for a little while. If you want to find out more about me, go to the Mel-Right website. There's a link right on all the pages in the top right-hand corner where you can book a demo of Mel-Right, and those demos are done by myself, and I'll go through the whole system with you, and you can see the power of our marketing online platform with Mel-Right. We'll be back next week with another show, just me and Robert, or with a guest, and we'll see you next week, folks. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye.